I'm Fiona Leung. I'm the managing partner of a family office firm. I work with a different business family to help them on the internationalization plan. During that period, when I was in China with the Sembcorp group, so we started negotiating, and then we were successful in forming a number of Sino-Singapore joint venture. So I learned a lot, from this. Some of these are tech founders, right? These are tech billionaires, right? So I learned a lot, when I'm working with them. You have to feel that you're learning every day. Like now, I feel that I'm learning every day from my colleague, from my client. I still remember it, because I was the first person that morning with him. The few of us were sitting outside. I think there were only 4 of us.
How long did the interview last?
Oh, very fast. He was to the point. I still remember, came in, he was in his usual EDB windbreaker, the blue color one. And then, because it was early, I think it was 8:30. So, they dabao for him, I think some char kway teow breakfast. I still remember, because so nervous, right? I was 18, then first time, right? With chairman. And then, but he was so friendly. He was like, oh, girl, sit down, you want some breakfast? No, sorry, I'm okay. He of course interview. I think part of the interview process there was 6 rounds, I think. So he was the final round because he was the chairman.
This is for Sembcorp or for EDB?
I actually interviewed for both EDB and Sembcorp, but he was the chairman for both.
6 rounds of interview.
Yes.
What? So this is your first?
That was when I was 18. Like after A level. It's by different members. I would say of the organization. Right, there were first round. I think if I'm not wrong, there was the HR, of course. HR manager. So many years ago, I'm trying to recall. Then they run psychometric tests. Just to analyze whether the personality is in line with the archetype that they were looking for. Right? Whether you're a team player, will you be a threat to the society and whatnot? I don't know. So that second round, and then after that, I remember quite interesting. There was actually an interview by other seniors. Senior, i.e., they were also older scholars. That went on the program, studied, came back, and started working in the group, with Sembcorp group, right? So then, then there was by the seniors, and then after that, more senior manager, and then president of the BU, and then last round then was with chairman himself. I was a process engineer in the process and technology department. So my team, we were all trained engineer. Our boss, I still remember at that time. He of course was he has a PhD in environmental engineering, because we were looking at water and wastewater treatment plant that we were servicing the chemical and petrochemical companies on Jurong Island at the time. That was back in 2001. Because that is a time where we were, Singapore as a whole, we were trying to build up Jurong Island, right? As the chemical and petrochemical base in this part of the world. And I think since then, of course, I think Singapore we have done an amazing job, right? But very quickly, actually, in I think less than a year, then there was, this direction to say that, hey, I think we should look at maybe duplicating or expanding this model in other markets, especially say China, because at that time, back in 2001, so there were going to be, we saw that there were going to be quite a lot of opportunities, especially in the space of say infrastructure or building industrial park. Right, that's where actually, where I think Singapore as a whole, the Singapore Inc., I think was very successful in exporting. I was leading, the commercial department, so we're looking for a project. So business development, basically looking for new project, we were negotiating contracts, with potential joint venture partner. And once we have the project, then negotiating with what we call the customers, right, the chemical companies, or who could be what we call off-taking or buying our utility services from us. Basically, we had to hunt, so we were scanning around, looking at the numbers, right, negotiating with the counterparty. Yeah, so it was a process. So that took almost, I think a year, more than a year actually, until we finally signed that first project. Yeah. So I follow my big boss, my bosses. Yeah. So we were visiting different cities, as well as different regions in China where they have petrochemical companies or petrochemical hubs. Because our business model at that time was to provide integrated utility services to this company. So basically, they outsource, right, the non-petrochemical part of the business, the support utilities work to us. I think all different channels. Some are like through the industry. My bosses, they're more senior, so they have contact in the sector. Don't cold call actually, and also at that time, I think in the petrochemical space, it's not common for them to outsource their utilities because in operation, stable operation or stability was important. Yeah, so generally they do it in-house rather than outsourcing was not the norm yet at that time. So it was a journey in a sense as well that we had to visit a lot of companies, many of which actually are state-owned or Chinese company, right? So we have to convince the leader why they have to do that. Then of course there's also the concern if you outsource to a foreigner, is it going to, a foreign company, is it going to be more expensive? Will that affect the locals that were already working on the wastewater treatment plant, servicing the petrochemical company, and so forth. Yeah, so Semco was the one that built the infrastructure, the centralized, like say the water treatment, wastewater treatment, and so forth. They're generally very hospitable people. So whenever you visit, the counterparty or the local government, the leaders, they always host. They like to host, and let's build friendship. They always say friendship first, business second, which I come to appreciate. I think it's a nice way to at least, to first unofficially, in a casual setting, let's build some understanding and what is it that we're looking for, and then maybe they also at more casual platform, they feel more at ease to share. Right, what could be top of mind or what are really their needs, right? So by the time when we really actually sit down in the meeting room, talking about contract or the collaboration, then it's a lot easier because we will have already maybe gained some basic understanding. Because we operate Singapore in a fairly, I would say, transparent environment. Yeah, and I think we are also open in a sense where we sometimes take things for granted, right? We see things, we expect the other party to naturally understand that this is the way we do it, it's legal, it's proper, good system, efficient, which is great, right? Yeah. But it may not be the same in other countries, especially maybe some other developing market, especially larger ones, where the market could be a lot more complicated, right? The political structure, right? The commercial structure is complicated, right? Yeah, so there could be many more stakeholders than what we are used to. They may not be used to saying things so openly and verbally, right? So there are a lot of more, I would say, cultural or even political context, right, to some of the decisions or thinking, that the decision makers, or at least the people that have influence, right, on the investment or the subsequent, operation as the project roll out, right, at so many points in time, right, and especially that time infrastructure. So we have to work with a lot of local authorities, to get permit, to get approval, to get our parlan built, and then after that to get it checked and certified, right, and also then subsequently on a regular basis. I would say, I mean, China has evolved, also, in the last, I would say, extraordinary growth, right, in the last 20 to 25 years. It's incredible to see how it moved from really, in a sense, a number of their metropolis from third world to first world, really, infrastructure-wise, at least. Yeah, so I think their appreciation of the law, or rather what international investor or partner would come to expect, had also evolved, right? Yeah, I would say that they appreciate and they do respect the contract, but culturally, I think they are very relationship based. Yeah, so you can have contract in place. It's not like anyone wants to breach it or anything, but I think for the project to be really successful, especially like a Sino-Singapore joint venture. So I think a lot of time we need to be spent to build that friendship. Yeah, with them, on a personal level, as an organization level, so that they see that actually, we're really there to work together. Yeah, so once you have that mutual, I think, understanding of that trust, right, then it becomes a lot easier. I think it's the size of the market, I think, at the time, right, because, I mean, frankly, I wouldn't say even whole China at that time, right, like, we were based in Shanghai, and it was a 20 million population.
Oh, Shanghai
20 million. Now, of course, more than that. At the time, it was already 20 million. And there's only one city, right? So the scale at which we were working with, in terms of the market size, in terms of talent pipeline, and of course the cost structure was very different. And then after a decade coming back to Singapore, and I mean, I wasn't familiar, right, with the Singapore environment, so it would not have been prudent. And at that time, maybe with kids really, so also, not so brave, right? So yeah, so so just like, yeah, I thought it would be good to, in a sense, to reacquaint myself with Singapore economy, right? And then relearning, I think, how things are done, I think, in Singapore, right? Yeah, so I applied to the EDB. We came back to Singapore in 2014. Then I realized that, wow, actually it's not easy as, transitioning, right, from a full-time working mom to re-enter the workforce.
What were challenges?
I think that time there were actually a few things, at play. Number one, I was out of the workforce for a good three over years, right? Secondly, I was away from the Singapore market, right? I was in China for 10 years, right? So I was not as current as it would be, like, say, my peers per se, right? And then, at that time also when I came back, I think a lot of the business contacts and even I would say the working culture that we're used to are not local, right? Because I'm used to working, in a Chinese environment with MNCs and all that, right? So coming back to Singapore, and then size of economy and all that. So it was actually quite foreign. It was not easy, to be honest, to settle back in Singapore. And then secondly, cannot spend full time anymore, with the kid. And then subsequently, I have my second baby as well. Yeah, and then to really re-enter the workforce, it was not easy. Yeah, it's like initially didn't know where to start. Yeah. Yeah, I think for Singapore, we call that a USP, unique selling proposition, right? It's really our framework, pro-business environment, right? So investors see Singapore as a good base that they use to, to enter, say, the Southeast Asia market or to go international. A lot of the investors always share is that, they say when they come to Singapore, they talk to different departments. I mean, BD, EDB, or the other department they interact with, They say that we don't sound like we are part of government. We sound like we are part of a bigger company. Yeah, that, we are a lot more efficient. I mean, they can set up a company really quickly, right? And then they can get answers to the questions quickly. There are also a lot of programs and incentives in place that support companies, foreign companies that are looking to invest into Singapore. We do facilitation, yeah, in terms of that time could be tax, it could be because if they are anchoring certain activities here like R&D, research and development, there could be grants that they can apply for. Yes. But of course we were very specific only in certain sector that we think could be strategic or those that we're looking to grow, then we stack heavily, then those maybe will be more supportive versus maybe some of the other sector that didn't need as much support. Yeah, so they have a lot of comfort that Singapore would be a good place for them to structure the business and then use Singapore then to internationalize, then subsequently assess the regional markets or assess the different kind of investment opportunities here, because we are a financial hub. So there are a lot of projects and opportunities or assets that they can actually reach out to. I think we were looking for sectors. So basically looking at sectors that have, I would say, that speaks to the future and to be able to help us create high value added, good paying jobs.
Okay.
Yeah. So specifically, for example, some of the sector we're looking at is tech. Yeah, we call that ICM, Infocom. Okay. So there were a lot of effort in attracting the big tech companies into Singapore.
Google,
from Google, a lot of company, from China there were Tencent, there were Baba,
Why are these important to the country?
You mean for Singapore, why is it important? I think, these are at that time, now also, these are the rising sector. So in terms of, I think, creating job opportunities for our younger generation, this would be sector where I think there is a longer runway. And then in terms of the value add, for each employment opportunity is also higher. Subsequently, of course, then we're also looking at the biotech space, the medtech, biotech space. I think that is an area that Singapore was or has been actually very strong in. My family office is only Vista Capital, and then the advisory firm is called Hyperion Consulting. While working, I think you could be leading a team, but at the end of the day, you don't have that, I think, that weight, I would say, or that you don't feel that responsibility and say, hey, I'm actually responsible for these families, right? While I was running my own business, like now I'm running a business, I'm always very conscious that, I'm trying to build a sustainable platform. I want to give, of course, development opportunities, but more importantly, there are actually so many families, right, that depending on this, so it's important that we run it well, and we provide what the colleagues are looking for. Sometimes we do. Depending on the nature of the project, of course, size of the project as well. We get exposure, and also it gives client comfort, right, when we have the skin in the game. I would say there is a fix, a duration. I think for every person, maybe it's different. But don't wait until you're too comfortable. Okay. Yes, because I think the challenge sometimes, we are a creature of habit, right? So when we are somewhat senior or middle senior manager, we could be quite comfortable in what we're doing. We're good at what we do at that point in time, and we're quite comfortable, enjoy quite good package. And then the opportunity cost of you leaving and starting your own gig could be high. Right, and then our analytical part of that come in, right, and then you get analysis paralysis, right? Yeah, then it's like, better don't leave, right? Yeah, then by then also maybe with family or that, right? There's also that I think the burden, right, of reality, right, set in. Then less people, then less likely to start their own business. It's always good to be bold, right, and risk-taking, I think, is a great mentality.
Risk-taking?
Risk-taking is good. I think we can all, learn to live with more uncertainties in our life. But having said that, I think the chance of success as a business owner would probably be a lot higher if there are more life experiences or commercial experiences before we jump right in. I always suggest, to younger colleagues or friends, is make friends extensively, make friends, of course, with your colleagues, make friends with your boss, make friends with your client, of course, right, make friends with your supplier, but even make friends with your competitors, right, just make as many friends as you can, network, and you'll be surprised, really. I find in my career that, down the road, they could be your partner, you could be working together, or they could even work for you, right? They're just, it opens up a lot of opportunities. You never know, right? And sometimes it's through the brainstorming and all that, then you have newer ideas or opportunities.